Good morning, one and all. Myself Bhavani from Civil Department. Today we are going to discuss on definition and terminology of environmental hazards and disasters. And here, firstly, what are the main definitions we are going to see in this module is, first one, that is what are environmental hazards, and in this environmental hazards it will be the potential threat to the environment and also to the human health. In this environmental hazard, some may be natural hazards or some may be man-induced hazards. And here, these natural hazards, we can't predict when they are coming. So, for this man-induced hazard, it is caused due to the human power only. Means some may be because of some mistakes in the chemical factories. That's when these man-induced hazards can be takes place. And here, what are the different types of environmental hazards we can see is, in natural hazards, earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, and also volcanic eruptions we can see in this natural hazard. And in this anthropogenic hazards, that are nothing but the man-induced hazards. These are caused, means how man-induced, means how these humans, they are developing these hazards, mean due to them because of this deforestation, pollution. In this pollution, whether it may be water pollution or air pollution, these are all pollutions, and also noise pollution. These pollutions are very much hazardous towards this environment. And also nuclear accidents. These nuclear accidents, I already told you, that is in Chernobyl chemical factory. When it got that blasted, at that time so many people, they lost their lives also, and so many health issues can be seen nearby living people of that area. And what is the main significance of this environmental hazard is, it is understanding of this environmental hazard. It is one of the main thing and also very crucial thing. And risk assessment should be done, and also disaster preparedness should be done. And also this environmental management is also very much necessary. And next is define environmental disaster. And here, what is meant by environmental disaster? Nothing but these are the, after this environmental hazards, in this one disasters also, these may be man-induced or also the natural disasters also. These are the catastrophic events that will cause the huge disruption towards the ecosystem and human communities and also economic activities. And what are the main characteristics of this environmental disasters or magnitude? And here, in this magnitude, the scale of this disaster, it will impact towards the human life and properties, and also it will be huge disastrous towards the environment when these natural hazards or man-induced hazards are going to be occurred. And next is, what is the main frequency means. Here, disasters, natural disasters, we don't know when they are going to be happen. But when these type of environmental disasters occur, means it will be occur in a given time or given period also. Next one is duration. Here, we don't know, means how much time these disasters can take place. Why? Because if that disaster is going to be started, means that will impact the whole area, means affected area will be more than we can expect. Expect also. Why? Because if the length of the time is increased, means almost affected area of that affected area is also going to be increased. And next is speed of onset. Here, we don't know how quickly these disasters are going to be developed. Means if earthquake is going to be started, means it will be a very sudden onset. But when compared with this drought is very slow thing. But whereas earthquake is within some minutes or within fraction of seconds also, it can destroy everything, and it can destroy the very large amount of the area also. Main examples of this one are natural disaster that occurred in Indian Ocean in the year 2004. Tsunami occurred at that time, and at that time there will be so much loss of this human life and as well as the property. And next is man-induced disaster. this Chernobyl nuclear disaster that occurred in 1986. It is one of the long-term environmental contamination. Why? Because if any type of disasters occur, means nuclear disaster, that will release different types of chemicals into the air. Means some of the chemicals that will go towards the air, and some may be contaminated with the water also. So because of this nuclear disaster, water pollution and also air pollution will be increasing, and that will impact the health of our human beings as well as the animals also. Main impact of this environmental disasters are here. Obviously, these disaster will have long term, means if any type of disaster is occurred, means that effect will be seen for the long life. Means some months we can see the effect of this disaster in some areas. Means how we are going to respond, means local capacity we have to respond, and also some long term external aid can be done towards the affected areas. And next is what is meant by environmental stress. Here, environmental stress refers to the strain on the environment that will be by natural or also by the man-made factors. Means when this environmental stress is going to be occur, means it will disrupt the overall balance of the natural systems here. And main examples of this one are deforestation. Means obviously nowadays deforestation is a very common thing. If we are going to develop the urban areas, means this deforestation is the common thing. If we do this deforestation, means that will lead towards the habitat loss, and also this pollution is leading towards the depletion of the ozone layer also. Means if any type of some air pollution is going to be occur because of this traffic jams like that one, means when from the vehicles, if we are going to get that CO2, means that CO2 is going towards the atmosphere. Means when that will go towards the atmosphere, means that will cause the, in sometimes it will cause the acid rains also. From this acid rain, ozone layer is going to be opened because of this air pollution. So these we have to be very careful, so that we can't do this deforestation, and also we have to decrease the air pollution also. Means by that how we can reduce this pollution, means so many vehicles are from petrol and diesel, they are working, but when we are going to use the electrical vehicles, means there will be no smoke, means that will be very beneficial towards the air pollution here. Main consequences of this one are, when any prolonged environmental stress that will lead towards this irreversible damage, means that will reduce the resilience of this ecosystem, and it will increase the likelihood of the disasters also. Next is what are the main concepts of environmental hazard, stress and disaster. Means firstly, what are the interrelation between this, means what is the relation between hazard, stress and also the disaster. Means firstly, hazard is going to be create potential stress towards the environment, and when these when stress is developed on this environment, when the system cannot cope up, means it will lead towards the disaster. And main example of this one is when any continuous industrial emissions, means from that industrial emissions, sometimes it will industries are going to be released CO2 gas, and sometimes it may be SO2 gas. When that will go towards the atmosphere, means that create the air pollution. These industrial emissions is called as the hazard, and this creating this air pollution is called as the stress. And because of this industrial emission towards the air pollution, that will create the public health crisis, that is called as the disaster here. Okay. And next is what is a human influence towards this environmental hazards. Means firstly, there will be anthropogenic factors. In this one, urbanization, industrialization and deforestation. Why? When we are going to do these type of things like cutting the trees and also developing these urban areas and industrialization, means that will increase the frequency of and also this severity of getting the disasters. Means there will be so much that will lead towards the more frequent disaster. Means when we are going to pressurize the environment, means that environment will going to give them more and more disasters towards the earth. And next is, what is the main example of this anthropogenic factors? Means when we are going to develop the coastal areas, means it will go increase the vulnerability to the hurricanes also. Means so many areas, means so many people, they are willing to construct their houses nearby these coastal areas. Means to see that view of the water bodies like that one. Means when we are going to develop these type of coastal areas, means that will be lead towards them disasters like hurricanes and sometimes floods also. Okay. And next is, what are the different approaches to understanding environmental hazards and disaster? And here, human ecology approach. And in this human ecology approach, main definition is this human ecology approach, it will only studies about the interaction between the humans and their environment also. Means it will overall focus on this human activities, how they are going to contribute or mitigate the environmental hazard. Main applications of this human ecology approach is, we are going to understand about the agricultural practices. Means how we are going to eradicate this soil infertility, and how we are going to develop the means urban planning. When we are going to develop, means what is the risk we are going to face. Why? Because if we are planning these urban areas, means that will also going to reduce the flood risk. Okay. If we are going to develop this type of urban planning, means before constructing of these urban areas, if we are planning about this urban, means it will reduce the flood risk also. And next one is significance. Here, when human ecology, it will provide the insights of this how these human activities and also the social structures can, how they can either excavate or alleviate this environmental risk. Means in this approach, we have to consider about the human activities. Means if humans, they didn't do some type of activity, means that will going to be eradicate or mitigate this type of disasters also. And next one is landscape approach. Here, overall in this approach, it will focus on the patterns of the land use and their relationship with the environmental hazard. Main concepts in this landscape approach, what we are going to study is spatial heterogeneity. Here, in this spatial heterogeneity, there will be so much variation in the landscape features. Means when we are going to do this type of landscapes, means there will be landscape features such as elevation, vegetation cover, and also the land use. Means these are all the features which we have to consider. Why? Because these are going to influence the distribution and also the intensity of the hazards here. And next is connectivity. And here, this connectivity means nothing but a connection between the different types of elements that are related towards this landscape approach. Means whether some of the different landscape elements are connected, means it will affect the flow of the water and also nutrients and also species, as well as some of the spreading of these hazards like wildfire and also the floods. Means landscape elements are related towards each other. Means when this type of vegetation is reduced, means land use is reduced, means that will affect the overall flow of that area's water and also nutrients that are going to be reduced. Means the soil is going to be infertile. So we have to be very careful to not construct the industries or any factories that will just release some type of chemical contamination towards the water or towards the air near that area. Okay. Main applications of this landscape approaches, we are going to analyze how this deforestation in a region, it might increase the risk of landslides and also the floods. And main significance of this one is it will integrate the ecological, social and economic factors. Means by creating this one, it will give the holistic solutions for managing environmental risk here. And next is ecosystem approach. Means after knowing about this land use and also the human activity, next one is ecosystem approach. And in this ecosystem approach, main definition is we have to consider about the ecosystem here. Means if any type of disaster is going to be happen, means how this ecosystem is going to be promotes. Okay, means how it will promote the development of this balance in human needs, and by what capacity it is promoting, and how we are going to provide the essential services. These all we are going to consider in this ecosystem approach. Means in this ecosystem approach, we are going to include all these living organisms and their interaction with this physical environment. Means we have to maintain the health of the ecosystem, and by doing this one, it can also prevent the disasters also. Main example of this ecosystem approach is wetland conversion to mitigate flood risk, or forest preservation to prevent soil erosion. Okay. Next one is a perception approach. Main perception approach is nothing but we have to examine the people to perceive and also to respond when these environmental hazards or disasters are going to be happen. Means we have to understand the perception of that risk, which is going to influence the behavior of the hazards and also the disasters. Main application is we have to study the communities. It may choose to live in the hazard prone areas also. Means we have to be very much careful towards this perception approach. Means so many communities, they want to live in some hazard prone areas. Means already they know the risk when they are going to live in that area, but so many people, because of the some arrogant personalities, they are living in that hazard prone areas. Means how these cultural factors influence the disaster preparedness, we have to know in this perception approach. And what is the perception of that person towards the an environmental hazard or environmental disasters. Main significance is we have to understand the risk perception. Why? Because it will be very critical to design this effective disaster risk reduction strategies that may be resonate with the public and encourage appropriate actions here. And mainly, what are the applications of human ecology in geological research is human ecology definition is nothing but it will explore the relationship between the humans and their environments, that may be cultural, social, economic and also the political factors. And next one is research focus. Here risk assessment we have to done. Means when any disaster is occurred, means how human activities will modify the environment and how it will increase the vulnerability, we have to think about that one. And next is disaster management. Means if any disaster is going to be occur or it's already happened, means we have to maintain some strategies to reduce the impact of this disaster. Means when any type of disaster is happen, means that will impact the overall human environment interaction. So we have to develop some strategies to reduce impact of these disasters also. Next is sustainable development. Means here we are going to balance the human needs with the environmental protection. And what is the main key point of this human ecology is, by doing this human ecology, it will provide them framework for understanding these interactions between the humans and also the ecosystem. Means living organisms, everything. Okay. Next is what is environmental degradation. Environmental degradation is nothing but the deterioration or destruction of the environment through the depletion of natural resources. Means there will be so much destruction of the ecosystem, and also pollution. By this type of different types of deterioration of this environment, that will lead towards some loss of biodiversity and the disruption of natural processes. Okay, main causes of this environmental degradation is deforestation. Means in this deforestation, when we are going to cutting the trees for the use of this agriculture or any urban development, means that will lead towards the soil erosion, and also biodiversity is going to be going to be lost, and there will be change in the climatic condition. And the next is pollution. Means when there will be some because of the natural resources, when there will be destruction of the environment, means there will be contamination of the air, soil and water. By this contamination of this one, that will impact the ecosystem and also the humans also. So when we are not going to do this type of building of the urban areas or building of the industries, factories that will emit the chemical dangerous chemicals, means that will be very useful towards the climatic condition. And next is over exploitation. Here, unsustainable use of this natural resources like overfishing, which that will means overfishing, it is going to be depletes the stocks and also damage the marine ecosystem. Main consequences of this one is there will be so much loss of the ecosystem, and there will be increase in vulnerability towards this hazard, and there will be reduction in the quality of life. So these are all the consequences for this environmental degradation. And next is, what is the main example of this one is desertification. Means without the trees, how we are going to lose the soil erosion like this one. Means this desertification in the area of Africa, that is Sahel region, due to the overgazing and deforestation and climatic condition, this environmental degradation is occurred day by day. And what is the main significance because of this by preventing this environmental degradation, means we can maintain the ecosystem health, and that can easily reduce the risk of the disasters. And next is, what is ecological footprint. Here, ecological footprint is nothing but the measuring of the demand that is placed on the earth ecosystem by the human activities, whether it may be in case of national resources, and that will require to sustain the given population or the activity, that is called as the ecological footprint. Main components of this one is carbon footprint. The amount of carbon or carbon dioxide and some of the harmful gases, means like greenhouse gases, when they are emitted by these human activities like industrial wastage or any factory wastage or any nuclear disaster are going to be happen, means that will contribute towards the climatic condition. Means there will be change of the climatic condition. And next is biocapacity. And in this biocapacity, when capacity of an area to generate these renewable resources, means that will absorb the wastage, means absorption of that wastage, it may also include the carbon emissions. Okay. Next is example. Here, a country which having this high ecological footprint may consume more resources, and it also produces the more wastage than its biocapacity. Next is significance. By reducing this ecological footprint, it is essential for achieving the prevention and sustainability of this over exploitation of natural resources. And this is the overall summary of this environmental hazards. Here, environmental hazards are the potential threats, and environmental disasters are nothing but the consequences of this hazard. Next is environmental stress. It is nothing but the strain on the environment because of this disaster, means that will lead towards this disaster if we are unchecked. And different types of approaches like perception, landscape and also human approach, these are going to be provide the framework for understanding and managing these environmental hazards. And next is application of the concepts in geographical research and um, geographical research. This will help in the developing strategies for risk reduction, disaster preparedness, and also towards the sustainable development. Okay, and these are the references books. Thank you, everyone.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.